Greg Halpern here from Formula 4 Protocol. And I got to tell you, I'm really excited about what we're doing here. We've got maybe the best material ever assembled for essentially giving you and your life, everything that needs in terms of the basic stuff like mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health. Okay, you got to have that, let's face it. If we have great health, then we can do everything else. And if we don't have great health, then everything else suffers and struggles. So the key in Formula 4 Protocol is that I received all this information that allows you to have that kind of health and manifest it almost in real time, and once you get good at it, always in real time. And that's what leads to happiness. So the Formula 4 is 4 elements: health, happiness, prosperity, and purpose. And so if you have health, if you have amazing health, then you're gonna have amazing happiness. And people wonder how to be happy. There's all kinds of programs, from meditation, you name it, to psychological care and drugs, and you name it, supplements. Now there's nootropics. There's a lot of great stuff, but what is obvious that people haven't all figured out yet, but that you need to understand right now in this material, is that if you have every aspect of health covered to where you feel amazing, then you have happiness and it's natural. In other words, it happens all the time regardless. You feel so great that you're happy because you feel great. And when you have any symptoms, illness, or disease, you just don't feel your best, and therefore you're never fully happy. So that's what we focus on in Formula 4. Once you have health, and it's all well organized in that program, which will happen for you in anywhere from a day to a month. It'll be perfected from wherever you are now, whether you're feeling amazingly healthy on a lot of levels, but you still struggle with a couple things. Sometimes you get the flu, or you get symptoms, or now you're worried because of all this crazy things going on in the world. Or you, let's say, don't feel good about a lot of things, and you're always fighting symptoms, illness, and disease. Well, this is going to bring all of you, regardless of those backgrounds, regardless of those circumstances, to the same place it brings everybody to very quickly.
Just did my very first meditation, and what everybody has been saying is totally true. I have not felt this relaxed or at peace in a very long time. So if you haven't done it, go check it out. It's amazing.
I'm ready to go to work. I feel very energized and very calm. And I just can't believe it. It's really awesome. Yeah, it's always neat to have something positive in your life so you can stay positive. And I sincerely wish you all can feel the same way too.
Just really well-balanced health, where health and being greatly healthy is your core internal environment, your message that you have for yourself. And that naturally leads to this kind of happiness that is just occurring because you feel so good. And once you have those two things, the natural progression on earth as a living being is to want to be prosperous, to want to be abundant. Well, first you have to understand that to be abundant, you have to understand how abundance works. People that are ultra wealthy and have a lot of material things and a lot of money, they love money, they love material things. So that's something they have no matter whether they're good or bad. If you're a good person, you have a lot of money, then you're a better person with a lot of money. If you're a bad person with a lot of money, you're probably a worse person. You just enhance being evil because you have a lot of money and you do a lot of bad things, like what a lot of people are doing in the world today that are being oppressive and are going to be solved through this process once and for all. But to understand abundance, you have to first understand that there's a science of nature involved in it, and physics and metaphysics, and it's called essentially infinite wisdom, infinite knowledge, infinite universe, okay? And the infinite universe just tells us and teaches us that everything is infinite. It goes on forever. When you look off into space, it goes on as far as the eye can see, and it doesn't start or stop. There's no ending to it. In other words, prosperity is infinite. Abundance is infinite. It's something that is readily available and prevalent and available to all the time. But people have been taught through misleading information, bad media, bad brainwashing, and bad or low evolution of society that resources are finite, that there's only so much money to go around, and the people that have it, and the people that have not had it. And that's not really true. That's a big lie. What's the truth is that all things are infinite.
It was astounding to me Greg. It was clear to me in the reading that he came from dimensions way beyond where most of us have been yet, and really came in to bring a body of wisdom and a body of knowledge that is a gift to humanity. The gift fills you with a possibility that you hadn't experienced before, and that as you go through the entire process of opening the gifts, you become more and more that whole self that is your entire potential to be.
All the solutions are available. Now, once you have all those things and you understand that prosperity is abundance, and abundance is not poverty, and poverty is thinking finite, but there is no such law in the universe that supports finite thinking or finite living or finite feelings. In other words, air is infinite, atomic particles are infinite, all of nature is infinite, it just goes on forever. And money and wealth and prosperity and abundance and material things are also matter. They're also made of cells, and they're also abundant and go on forever. So once you have that understanding, we show you how to quickly get to become prosperous. You live in a prosperous world, and I've been a product of being able to become prosperous in any environment, in any situation. And even when the world is at its worst, I've had some of my best prosperity, and not by taking advantage of others. Keep in mind, that's scarcity, that's abject poverty, to think that you will get your prosperity or your material wealth by denying others or by taking advantage of others. You actually never will, and even those who do will be living in abject poverty while claiming that they're becoming wealthy. That's not a way to be wealthy. The way to be wealthy is just to understand the simple laws of nature and then put love towards money and wealth and prosperity, and then do things that are good for the world and good for people. And the more of that you do, the more prosperity you'll be able to receive once you understand the fundamental laws of sending and receiving the right messages, not only from the mind but from the heart.
This is the most amazing meditation that you will ever invest your quality time into. I love recharging my focus, recharging my soul. Meditate before you do anything. This is truly amazing. Do it. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it.
You ever found something and then you were just like, where was this my whole life? That's the way I feel about this app, because that flow thing, I felt that. I was so confident in whatever I was doing. I was able to do it like this, and people was like, whoa, you just learned how to do that? I'm like, yeah. So this is going to be a great journey.
So all this is learned in Formula 4 Protocol, and what all that leads to is the fourth element, which is your purpose. Your purpose will manifest out of having all those mastered, and they'll become mastered very quickly. So let's explain what is going on here with the Formula 4. And, here we have some meditation, and here we have some other principles that we learned. The purpose of life, which is to create positive increase in all good things. And that's very important value system, because what it teaches us is that every action, interaction, and reaction have an equal and opposite one. That's just science and nature at work. And when you understand this, you understand that every positive event also has a negative byproduct. And so in Formula 4, we learn pretty much out of the gate that the purpose of life is to put all of our love from our heart and all of our thoughts from our mind and all of our intention from our voice, which is when these two are balanced, into something that's very positive, while recognizing the negative so that we can deal with it or address it, but not spend a lot of time on it and have our lives go up and down like that. So essentially, that Pleiadian view, that positive, ultra-positive view that's in Formula 4, is a byproduct of my 13-year death experiences. And I want to just draw a parallel. I was born in 1958 here on Earth in the year of the dog, in the month and the son of Gemini. To give you just a contrast to that, in 1958, the President of the United States, President Trump, was born in 1946, also year of the dog, and June 14th, the day after the son of Gemini. And we come out in what's called the human design term, something you can learn about later from a dear friend of mine that is Gandhi descended to Osho, descended to this guy, Chetan Parkin, and he developed a system called the human design. And that's relevant because you'll see him talk a little bit about my background. He says things like, well, Greg's not from around here, and he's a recipient of the special knowledge. And the knowledge is based on universal truth, which is going to level up humanity. It's going to raise consciousness on a global scale.
I've read many thousands of people all over the world. A few years ago, I got to read for Greg, the recipient of this knowledge. And it became very evident to me in the course of the reading that Greg is somebody that is able to receive information that's not written up in any library. This is not information that you'll find on the internet or in books anywhere. That he is a pure channel to receive this extraordinary knowledge. And the knowledge is of great benefit. And it comes in a time when the world really needs this benefit.
That's been my experience. People say things about the Formula 4 protocol that are quite encouraging and gratifying. They say things like, one guy says, "This is the best thing you will ever get in your life."
This is the best thing you will ever get in your life. You will always feel happiness, and everything will be you'll feel okay. So this is wow.
But think about that. Can you name any kind of program in the what's now maybe called mindfulness? I don't care about that term really. We used to call it self-help when Zig Ziglar was one of my mentors growing up, and Earl Nightingale, the modern fathers of all this stuff. And I don't promote that in that way, because we learned from them that they said that you are what you think about, you become your thoughts, and thoughts are things. That's true, but it's a small part of the equation. They say it's the whole equation because they haven't evolved yet to your heart. Your heart is, you are your feelings, you become your feelings, and feelings are things. This is a computer, and it allows you to put together words and pictures and thoughts and ideas in such a way that is profound in your vision and gives you a roadmap that what you want to do for the future. But what it doesn't do is manifest. And people often wonder why they are into the self-help movement or mindfulness, or they do their meditation, and why nothing really changes very much, or they don't grow fast or rapidly. In Formula 4, you will rapidly accelerate. When I say rapidly accelerate, people watch 1 6-minute meditation in this Formula 4 content that streamed in through me on my 12th near-death experience. I'll talk a little bit about that for a minute, but first I want to tell you that what's so profound about that is that they watch this meditation. Okay, now I don't claim to be the originator of the meditation. This all was received by me on my 12th near-death experience when I was by my pool back in Chicago on a hot August morning. I inhaled a pint of chlorine gas when I was trying to open a canister like this. I ripped it off, didn't know that the chlorine tab had evaporated and turned to a gas with the humidity, and I inhaled it. And I could feel my esophagus like somebody had put a blowtorch on it. It was about to burn up. I ran in my house and I said, you better call a paramedic, I'm gonna stop breathing in 3 minutes. And I drank a solution called Oral Saver that I invented a month earlier. And it was made for lesions in the mouth, for anything that happened in the mouth. You bite your cheek, you burn your tongue, you have an oral sore, whatever it is, it was made to heal that very rapidly, which it did work. It had all kinds of astringents, it had tea tree, it had chlorophyll, it had all kinds of homeopathic anti-burn agents. It was really a miracle formula that I'll probably go back and make again in the future. But I drank it instead of just putting it in the mouth and swishing it around to cure, cancerous lesions or oral problems. I would just take the bottle, open it up, and I drank about half the bottle. Now, a paramedic, fortunately for me, was only a mile away. They came and stuck a tube down my throat, took me to the hospital, and then it seemed to heal up enough that I could leave the hospital. But they said, you should stay here for a couple days. We got you a room, which I didn't do. But they said you should stay here because they said that usually what happens is you get a collapsed lung a short while later, and then you have a stroke, or your esophagus closes and you stop breathing, and then you have all those things. So it wasn't very appealing, but I felt better from the solution, although I did hedge a little and say that I was more okay than I probably was. But I went to my meeting, my business meeting, said I'd come back if there was a problem, and it seemed like it was coming back, and the doctor finally reluctantly signed me out. But they had done tests for like 3 hours and said, you're like an Olympian athlete, you're mighty healthy. So I left, and then that night I was at home I have a really nice office at my home at the time, and I'm sitting there just kind of contemplating the day and contemplating my life, because at this point my life was pretty interesting. It was my 12th near-death experience. That was already in my 40s, and I had interestingly gone through some amazing transitions, and I had my first 9 near-death experiences before I was 20. I was choked till I was unconscious. At 5 I had a tonsillectomy hemorrhage and I was bleeding to death. I had a car flipped over at 7 on the highway, and we were crushed inside the car on the highway at 80 miles an hour. And I had shot at and slashed at in one night, and all kinds of crazy stuff that had happened up to that point. Finally, at the end of all that, I was thrown down a flight of stairs. That's a whole nother story I won't go into now, but I ended up waking up after 3 days in a coma with all the discs in my low back disintegrating. Now, translate all through my 20s, I only had 2 near-death experiences, another fatal car accident among them. And then all of a sudden, I had this big epiphany, and things started going amazingly for me, and I wasn't struggling to check out anymore and be reckless and crazy and violent, which is kind of a Chicago lifestyle for a lot of small kids growing up there. Another story for another time. So now we fast forward to I inhaled this chlorine gas, I'm at home, I'm in my office, and I'm contemplating all these experiences, and I'm happily married. I got 3 amazing kids that are growing up, and I live in the nicest home in town, and I have the biggest, coolest business, and I'm transferring technology and solving problems in the world. And I'm at home recovering from almost dying from closing my trachea from my inhalation of really toxic chlorine gas. And I start feeling there's some good ideas coming in, and you know how that is, and you start writing it down, and well, 5 minutes later I have a whole page of content. I said I better start typing, so I would start typing, and I'm typing like a crazy person, and 3 days later I have 3,000 principles of this content that's now the Formula 4 protocol. And I start using it after, a period of exhaustion and saying, well, this is kind of miraculous stuff. Like, what do you mean? Use your hands to clear traffic and spontaneously heal and manifest wealth in real time, and just all these crazy things that you could say as a term, but you wouldn't relate to it. Well, it all started happening. And everything that I don't want to say everything I touched turned to gold, but my dad used to say, you just fall into everything. It's like 1 minute you're doing this, and the next minute you got another set of miracles happening. And it was like that for a long time. But then I fulfilled my lifelong dream, which was to get an RV, take my kids on 28 states of traveling through Yellowstone and places that I've often said I would live if I wasn't doing what I'm doing. I'd be like the second ranger. And we went up to a grizzly bear, and I got 10 feet from a gray wolf, and had all these amazing circumstances. But I'm living the dream because I'm living the Formula 4 protocol. I'm having this amazing experience. I'm having amazing health all the time when I never had that growing up. I'm happy all the time. Like every minute I'm like elated just to be alive. It's like I won the lottery. And my level of love and experience and celebration is just accelerating through the roof. And that's the Formula 4 protocol. And then now we take our RV and we move across country to San Diego, and I am getting Rolfed. What is Rolfing? Well, most people would say it's deep tissue work. Ida P. Rolf developed in the 20s, but it's so deep where when you have a person like me that had over 700 matches in the martial arts fighting, and was a street fighter when it was really, there was no cages, no prize money, and it was like a Fight Club, but in the street with crazy people and gangs in Chicago. And I had a partner and friends and all this crazy stuff back in the day. So I had all this decimation to the body that I really almost, in my early 20s, prayed for a time that I would even want to stay alive. But then, miraculously, with all the way I would receive information from the ether, I started hearing universal truth. Universal truth, what is that? Well, it's the Pleiadian philosophy, where you come from. And I was getting all these dreams, and it was relating back to a lot of major world events that really have happened, and I'll talk about in other things you might have seen me talk about on some of my shows. I have all kinds of different shows. Why? It streams in content really fast. And what is it all about? It's about celebrating life. I'm here to help you learn to celebrate life, not to teach you what I do or to tell you to do what I do, but to give you tools that for you say, this opens up those channels, allows me to do all the things I want to do and do them perfectly. And that's also what the Formula 4 protocol is. So it's important to get a feel for the understanding of that. It's these very simple principles based on what I was told was universal truth, Pleiadian style. It comes in and it's perfect. It's like the magic formula for whatever that thing is. Oddly, the second principle I got was the magic formula for everything, if you can believe that. And people are online saying things like, after 6 minutes of content of watching these meditations or listening to these principles, they're like, there's a girl you'll see here, look at this, okay?
It really made me better with people. This helped me realize that drama is not the only way to make you happy. Listening and just sitting here quiet just really helped me. And when they talk, it's just like I started to cry because all my happiness came back. I knew I found happiness again.
And look what this kid says.
I now understand that the purpose of life means that you should accept life more and be appreciative of what you have and the people around you, and to deflect all the negative energy and to accept all the positive energy.
Well, the very first sentence of this video is what really caught my attention. It says the purpose of life is to create positive increase in all things good. Now I know there's many other things he said, but if we just focus on that, wow.
I mean, they're having revelations. They're being brought to tears of joy and celebration. And there's thousands of these, okay? Just people that got the content. We gave away a lot of content in test markets. Some we sold, but for very little. People say we sell it for little or nothing. But the idea is to build that better world. In other words, this is why my purpose exists. I exist to have received this information. And what I was told in 2009, when I was now settled in San Diego after going on my RV trip with my family. And this Rolfer is this deep tissue worker fixing my structure, stretching the muscle and the fascia apart from the bone and elongating the spine. It's like you hung like in the classroom of anatomy, hung by your skull, so that your vertebrae, your anatomy gets re-elongated to counterbalance the negative effects of gravity and of injury over time. And I had a lot of that, okay? They didn't even think I'd walk again for some long period of time. Today, I'm happy to say at 62, my level of health is way advanced to everybody in terms of the health that I experience, the symptom-free life that I experience, the spontaneous healing that I can experience around me with anything that happens. The fact that I'm 62 and have had a bone break over 120 times. The fact that I have ligaments torn in my elbows and cartilage torn in my knees, but I function like somebody that's, you know, bionic, and I have all kinds of health solutions for that have come through this process. So I received the Formula 4 stuff, and then we started test marking it, and we found that almost everybody that got the stuff within 6 minutes is wanting to video or send in comments on wherever it is that we're offering the materials to talk about their revelations, their experience that they're having in real time. It's like everything's just clicking for them.
It's been a week since I found this, and I can already see and feel the changes that it's creating in my life. So yeah, I would recommend this for all individual that is looking forward to changing their life.
And that's what is the most gratifying to me when somebody says this is the best thing you will ever get in your life. It's so profound when they say I was brought to tears of joy because I always thought I was positive and I remembered what it was like to be positive, and now everything is magical. Or talking to me like they're old friends, like, you know, I love you, Greg, like you're the man, because now even though I've got rods and plates and steel screws in my back from injuries, I feel like I'm healing and I can go out and do what I want. Or I have lesions. Here's a picture of my lesion on my head that would never go away for the last several years, and now I'm watching your undust meditations, and here's my picture now. It's actually, I'm healing. So these things are very gratifying, because that's my purpose ultimately, is to teach people to live healthfully, to be happy as a result, how to do that naturally without really exerting yourself or having to conjure up a happy feeling. It just occurs naturally because you feel so strong and amazing. And then becoming prosperous, learning the skills of abundance and the infinite universe rather than the finite universe, and having that turn into your whole life, your whole purpose, your whole celebration of all things. So that's what the Formula 4 protocol is all about. And we're giving large chunks of it away. In fact, a lot of my own people are like, you gotta stop giving all this stuff away. And I said, well, my purpose is not only to teach people to celebrate, but to do it so that we have a planet that's still here and it's worth inheriting in the future. And let me talk one more minute about that. I told you I got Rolfed in 2009. Well, the woman was doing the 10th session. Now, people usually cry through the first time they get Rolfed because it's literally digging inside the body and pulling the muscle and the fascia, stretching it from the bone to re-elongate the spine. And it feels like maybe like your skin's being ripped off in chunks. And I didn't find it to be painful. I would literally sleep through the process, and people would say, who even sleeps through Rolfing? It doesn't seem possible. Now, I had been Rolfed on the 10th session, which is the middle of the body, and they go real deep. And she said she was always uncomfortable with that because I'm not giving any feedback and she could actually injure me. Well, that time she ruptured my appendix manually. Okay, so I guess she was right and I was wrong. When she left, I thought I had food poisoning, and for 3 days I was at home thinking I had food poisoning and treating myself accordingly. And because I'd had it a couple times, I knew what it felt like. It felt kind of like that. But then on the third day, I couldn't pee for about 6 hours, and it was driving me batty. So I went to the emergency at Scripps, and I said, you need to catheter me because I got to pee really bad. And they said, well, we can't do it right here because it's Saturday night and it's real busy, as you can see. We'll wait till we get you behind a curtain. I said, I can't wait another minute. So they cathetered me. People were walking by looking, and it was kind of funny. But I peed a gallon for 5 minutes, literally. And at the end of that, they came back and said, how you feel? And I said, I'm feeling like you got to take my appendix out. And they said, well, what are you talking about? I said, well, a Rolfer, which you probably don't know what that is, and they didn't, manually ruptured it at home 3 days ago. I thought I had food poisoning, and that's why I didn't come to the hospital. They said, there's no way it's a ruptured appendix, because if it were a ruptured appendix, you couldn't talk after an hour from the pain. And I said, no, I've been through all 16 levels of pain, and you probably only learned about 4 of them in med school, and in practical practice, maybe 5. But I've been all through level 16. And level 16 is where pain is no longer interesting. The pain doesn't affect you because you're just not interested anymore. It's very strange. They said, well, we don't think it is, but we'll have you drink the iron liquid. And they came back and said, yeah, it is ruptured. We'll take it out, but it probably looks like a very short cleanup, maybe a half an hour or an hour at the most. Well, it turned out to be a 4-hour cleanup, which I understand is near the high end of clean out. They said it was messy. And when I was coming to, at the foot of the bed was the anesthesiologist and the surgeon, and I was like, what do you guys want, man? You're the best. I love you guys. You know, of course, the morphine and all this is talking. And they were kind of giggling, and they said, we have a bed. And I said, what's the bed? And they said, well, what was all that black stuff we had to clean out of you? And I said, that was 89 pills of activated charcoal. And they said, you saved your own life. And I said, well, I know that, but you know, what about the recovery? And they said, well, you're going to be doing some time in the recovery, about 4 days. So on the third day, a woman came in. I somehow thought she was named Kathy. And she had a name tag, but you know, I come to find out that her hospital didn't have anybody with name tags at that time in that ward, I guess. I don't know. And I had somebody looking for them. I said, they came in and they put drugs in my IV, and I feel like they were overdosing me or something. And I'm worried they're gonna come in later when it's nighttime and do it again, and I'm gonna die. So, you know, that would have been my 13th near-death experience as opposed to the appendix situation. They put a gurney by my single room door, and at 4:16 a.m. I was trying to talk, but I was overdrugged, and I was looking up, and there was this woman. The reason I wanted them to look at her is she smelled to me like she was dead. Well, anyway, she put this drugs in there, and I went to pretty much close to flatlining, and I was in the end of the world, and that was 2009, but I was profoundly clear in my mind that it was 2023 and the world was decimated and I was walking through it. And it was between the sounds and the deformities and the destroyed property of the world, there was literally nothing left. It was like a floating mass of horror films, if you will. It kind of made the horror films that I had seen early in my life look like a kindergarten show and tell, like friendly places to go. It was really awful and disgusting, but it was clear that it was 2023. It was also clear that it was 2020 was the inflection point, which is where we're at now. And I've been talking about this since 2009 to anybody that wanted to listen. I said, it's coming in 2023, the end of the world, unless we fix it by the end of 2020, which is where we are now. And so the events that I'm participating in and experiencing with my troops here are just remarkable, like just freaking monumental. So I'm very excited about the opportunity that's at hand, and it's all coming true exactly the way it's said. And you know, there are other people that predict biblical events and Nostradamus and all this other stuff, and I think this all somehow intersects. A lot of people on Earth today are dusted, okay? I'll use that as a loose term, they're dusted. If you think about the lockdown that occurred in the world, even though it's unconstitutional and really a violation of all kinds of human rights, to add to all the violations that were already going on to violate our human rights, we come to find out that the last remaining free society, America, is based on a lot of lies and all kinds of terrible things. And a lot of that dusting of people has been going on while I've been talking about it for over a year and a half and been censored for it ahead of a lot of other people that we're talking about being censored now. I've been talking about Bill Gates being a eugenicist, and I've been talking about all the people around the Clintons and things that are doing things that are just coming out now. I was talking about SEAL Team 6 almost a year ago, and I was questioning, you know, why they outed the guy, and we were finding out this stuff. Now everybody thinks it's a revelation, but fortunately we have the evidence to follow it through and support our president. We're going to learn more about that too. To put a cap on all this, what I got as a message was it was time to take the information I had received, these 3,000 principles of universal truths. When I say universal truth, things that are undeniable, non-debatable, and indisputable, things that you can't argue, but not only you can't argue it, you won't argue it, because when you hear it, you'll adopt it as your own. You'll say, well, I already know that information. Somehow it's already in me. I already know that to be true. And that's how you know it's true, because it's not what I'm telling you to do that I say, you should do what I do. I'm saying, here's some great information. What do you think? And then when you see the information and are exposed to it, you say, you know, like whatever you say, like, my God, or Holy Moses, or I can't believe I received this, or I'm brought to tears of joy. But you begin to celebrate immediately. You begin to have revelations. You begin to feel good. You begin to clear up. And one of the things that people don't know is that Bill Gates' first biggest investment is bioweapons. It's not a foundation. The reason he's getting richer on it is because he's got an investment everywhere where there's eugenicism going on, where there's annihilation of the human race. He's been pretty good at it, and he's going to get better if people don't wake up and take notes, which they are, fortunately, but there's a long way to go here on this thing. So while that's going on, it's important to understand that his second biggest investment is Monsanto, the second most evil enterprise of all time after his. Okay, and what has Monsanto been doing? They've been poisoning the earth, the water, the air, and your food. Okay, agriculturally, they've been, you know, doing all kinds of crazy stuff that I can get into, and I get into on other episodes of I'm for the Dream and Enough, When You're Ready for Nothing But the Truth, and now I have a new series called Off the Record. These are very enlightening. You're going to learn things if you want to follow our other stuff at ultimatekindness.org. You're going to learn about this. But start with Formula 4 protocol, okay? And I'll tell you why. Because This clears all that up, okay? When we say we have a meditation in there called Undust, it neutralizes all of that toxins. People are talking about now 5G and things that they're worried about, but what they don't understand is the dust or the chemical pollutants or the toxic poisoning of our environment has been going on for so long that when the lockdown came, a lot of people just rolled over, like no response at all to violation of your rights, your civil rights, your human rights, and all these phony organizations giving you all this propaganda. And that's what we're really gonna learn. So it clears all that up. It cleans out your cells down to the atomic particle level and allows you to just be you, to get inside yourself and work all that stuff out. And it happens very fast.
Life is love, and love, of course, can lead to great prosperity. Ever since I've been using this, I've been feeling amazing. I can't stop smiling as I'm speaking. But just be grateful, meditate, and love life.
I've never felt so calm and reasonable, but this principle kind of changed my point of view a little, because you just kind of flips you a little bit.
If you look at the responses by people that use this material, they all have revelations pretty much almost instantaneously, and their life is better and they start ramping up immediately. So I urge you to go take all the free content of the Formula 4 protocol and stay in tune with it, because we'll continue to offer free content. There's some stuff that we will sell for really inexpensively. And what it all means is that you're able to live that perfect Formula 4 life, meaning health on every level, happiness naturally because you feel great, prosperity and abundance that you don't understand now, and why most of the world is thinking they live in a finite world and can't access all the wealth and prosperity that they need for them and their families. So literally half the world, their day is an emergency. Every day is an emergency. Just getting through the day just to be safe or not be poisoned or sick or under threat of assault or a dictatorship or unclean environment. And the global warming thing, I'll get into that another time, but that's another set of terms for all the things that they're doing to the environment, to harm the environment, to give you that feeling of that. A lot of the disasters are made through chemtrails and things that they're doing in the sky that nobody should be doing. So we're going to learn a lot about that through this process, and you're going to become enlightened and conscious. And most importantly, the information is going to empower you to be in control of every minute of your life, to celebrate your health, your happiness, your prosperity, abundance, which you're going to easily create for yourself, and your sense of purpose, which is going to occur naturally. You're going to naturally formulate all that into what you should be working on, and the opportunities are unlimited, and that's what this brings about. It brings about all the solutions to all the problems as well. So I urge you to take all the free Formula 4 content that you can. There's right now we have a free meditation. Of the 3 meditations, we kind of rotate those in and out, but that one is called the left-right brain rapid evolve meditation, and what it does is in 6 minutes it will balance dopamine, the chemical that makes you feel good, in your right and left brain.
Raising the highest frequency of love up through the heart and the highest level of happiness up through the mind.
Sending light energy
Thank you,
of
divine
total
inspiration and
gratitude
wisdom
for all things from the
things
heart
good and
to the
amazing
universe
for
and receiving it back
I love
through
my
the
incredible
mind.
blessings of
I
light,
love all my many
body and
blessings
spirit,
with all my
physical,
heart,
material,
now and in the
spiritual,
future, at home
being
and
always
away,
focused on
from
positive,
morning until
affirmative
night,
messages of
until
amazing
morning,
health,
including
happiness,
my
love,
amazing
relationships,
life and
prosperity.
supreme
I love the best
healthy,
version of
happy,
life.
and wealthy
Positive
being.
thoughts,
My total
feelings,
positivity
words,
has
actions,
energized
beliefs and
cellular
results,
power
and
and the
great
total
peace.
presence of
Quality
healthy
of
light
vision,
in the universe.
vision of
I'm
purpose,
truly
purpose of
grateful for
mission.
being beautiful, peaceful,
Raising the highest
loving,
frequency of love
caring,
up through the heart
kind,
and the highest level of
wealthy,
happiness up through the
prosperous,
mind.
successful, and
That's doing a lot of great things, and you'll see what other people see. They'll say things like, I've done meditation before, but this is so much different. I don't remember ever feeling this amazing. Once you have these tools and resources, you're going to be great. So that's a meditation we're currently giving away. We have another one, and that one is going to balance head and heart. It's called the head-heart meditation, and it balances your thoughts with your emotions so that you have a perfect voice that represents both in agreement, rather than having your head say, I can picture all these great things happening, but I just don't feel like I could do it.
In every moment.
Breathe deep, expanding, evolving, comfortable. Receive the light, settle in.
Visualize comfort. Inhale healthy clarity.
Exhale love and perfect words.
Love, appreciation, gratitude, raising the highest frequency of love up from the heart to the head, and the highest level of happiness from the mind into the heart.
Raising the highest frequency of love up from the heart to the head.
Sending harmonious love.
Words. Sending harmonious love and all good feelings from the heart to the mind, and receiving back positive thoughts and words.
I love all my many joyful feelings in my heart and beautiful thoughts in my mind. My total positivity has harmonizing cellular balance and the total presence of healthy
See,
life.
you have to picture the perfect vision, which you're going to learn in the other giveaway we're doing, which is the Positive Manifestation Breakthrough Toolkit. And that teaches you every aspect of how to manifest everything you want in real time. Having the tools that you need to do it, which are never taught, but here they're taught. This information, I'll tell you how valuable I think it is. When I received it, I spent the next several years testing the material, which was remarkable in terms of its effectiveness at ramping up my life at a moment's notice. And the second thing was there was nothing available like it, available on the internet or books or libraries, that was comparable to it. Now a lot of experts have reviewed it and said just that this is not available anywhere else, and it's totally unlike anything else out there. And so what it is it's just a very evolved set of tools that give you rapid evolution to project beyond the dumbing down of society through the poisoning and the toxic nature of the way it's been living. And by everybody joining up with this and doing this material, then they will start to move into that rapid evolution, that positive manifestation, and the problems are more easily solved, and we can start to really build that better world, which is going to ensure that future generations will have a world and that it'll still be amazing in the future for them. And that's what our organization, ultimatekindness.org, is all about, so I highly suggest you check that out as well. And the voice that we're using is two things, okay? It's the voice explaining all that and how that all works, and then giving you the tools to just be the best version of yourself in real time, to rapidly level up essentially during a time of lockdown and oppression that's worldwide.
What I see coming about in the world as a result of this knowledge is a massive expansion in consciousness, and people attuning to lives in the way that they haven't been able to before, in being really empowered to be themselves, to be very strong in themselves, and to imbibe this knowledge in a way that is going to further their life journey enormously.
I'm encouraged and excited because when you shine a light on truth and real things, then that's what causes all the negativity to start to evaporate or go away, or to become the old paradigm. So very excited. Formula 4 protocol, please check it out. Please use our free tools if you like it and you want to get some of the other tools. It's a negligible cost, and that pays the bills for the people that run my organization, which is a good thing because they're all just full of the love for a better planet, and so that future generations will have something worth inheriting in the future, okay? So thanks for tuning in, Formula 4 protocol. Check out other stuff, and especially check out the book that I'm doing. I'll talk about that on the next piece. So God bless everybody and have an amazing day, amazing life. And remember, celebrate, 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 celebrate every moment like it's the last. And with Formula 4 protocol, you'll be able to do just that with no effort at all. So have an amazing day, and thanks for tuning in.